It's story time. On the count of 3, let's say the story bag poem and see what's inside. 1, 2, 3. Story bag, what have you to say? Story bag, what's in you today? We have a feathered snake. This is a story from the ancient Mayan civilization called the Noisy Goddess. Story ears open, story mouths quiet, story buckles buckled, and let us begin. Once upon a time, long ago, before the world was even created, the only thing that existed was water. There were no fish or plants or animals living in the water, just water. And above the water were the heavens. And living in the heavens were many gods and goddesses of all different shapes, sizes, colors, and personalities. There was one goddess who was a big problem in heaven. She was known as the Noisy Goddess, and some called her the Hungry Goddess. She had 100 mouths all over her body, and day and night and day she would yell, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." And no matter what she was given to eat, she was never satisfied. "I'm hungry." Feathered Snake and Smoking Mirror were two other deities that lived in the heavens, and they could not stand the noise. "I'm hungry." "What are we going to do with her?" they asked one another. "I'm hungry." Feathered Snake, who was also the god of the wind, said, "Why don't we blow her down to the water?" "Hungry." And Smoking Mirror, who reflected everything that happened in the heavens, said, "That's a great idea. Perhaps she'll enjoy swimming around for a while and stop shouting." Feathered Snake coiled himself around the hungry, noisy goddess and flew her down to the water and gently placed her on the waves. She floated on her back contentedly, and for the first time in all eternity, she was quiet. "We did it!" exclaimed Feathered Snake. But just then, the noisy goddess began to bellow again. "I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." "What do we do now?" asked Smoking Mirror. "Why don't we stretch her out?" suggested Feathered Snake. One grabbed her head, and the other grabbed her feet, and they began to pull. They pulled and they stretched and they pulled and they stretched and they pulled and they stretched until she was 100 miles long. Then the noisy goddess broke in two. "Oh no!" cried Feathered Snake. "We broke her! What are we going to do now?" They thought for a moment, and then Smoking Mirror said, "Why don't we recycle her?" And that's what they did. They took the top half of her that had broken off, and they turned that into the world. Then they took her legs and stretched them way over her head and turned her legs into the sky. When the rain fell out of the sky for the very first time, the noisy, hungry goddess drank. And out of her hair grew trees and plants and grass and flowers, and out of her fingers came birds and fish and animals. And when the leaves fell off of the trees for the very first time, the noisy, hungry goddess gobbled them up. When the birds and the animals and the fish died, she ate them as well. And out of her hair grew more trees and plants and flowers and grass, and out of her fingers came more birds and animals and fish. And the hungry, noisy goddess smiled and said, "I'm not hungry anymore." Feathered Snake and Smoking Mirror said, "We did it!" And they returned to the heavens and were celebrated as the creators of this wonderful world. And there be my story, be it bitter or sweet. Take what you like, but leave enough for me to eat.